notifications concerning absence or lateness is en route. Okay, thank you very much. Anybody else? No, that's it. Members, we have before us the minutes of the meeting held on July 10, 2026, which have been circulated. I take them as having been read, and we'll go through them as quickly as possible. There's page 1, nothing to detain us on page 1. There's page 2, which is again highlighting the standing orders, specifically 82A2, the use of technology during proceedings in the committee. And there was a presentation, I think by Ms. Stewart, which is contained on page 2, unless Ms. Stewart has anything to add there. There was a response from Senator Morris. That goes over onto page 3, with contributions from Senator Gale, Senator Scott Motley. So Senator Scott Motley emphasized that she did not agree with excluding paragraph 82A2 altogether. There was some discussion there with Scott Motley and Senator Gale. So Legal Counsel Stewart was being asked some questions there on page 3, which go over to 4. Senator, and I think this is important because Senator Golden Campbell, I think, had reserved some questions. Senator Golden Campbell indicated that she was in favor of excluding the provision altogether. She explained that policing how senators use their devices during sittings would be impossible. And I think there were some questions that she had reserved. She expressed the view that some of the provisions are outdated. Chairman asked, I think it was not, this aspect of the meeting was conducted by Sinclair, Senator Sinclair, who asked whether anyone had a background in information from other jurisdictions on the paragraph. Now, Legal Counsel Stewart stated that she has examined the provisions in several jurisdictions. British Columbia was one such, and the position of the United Kingdom and Trinidad. So Senator Gale pointed out it was not always possible to police behavior. Senator Morris stated that the standing committee had anticipated members would accord each other with a level of respect, but that seemed to have gone through the window anyhow. But not in this House, I hasten to add. The chairman concurred with Professor Morris's intervention and Senate standing orders. Chairman asked Senator Golden Campbell where she was. Okay, so this is it. Chairman asked Senator Golden Campbell whether she was satisfied with Ms. Zimenez's explanation. He reminded the committee that the explanation had been accepted by the senators. Golden Campbell acknowledged that the matter had been brought to her attention by Ms. Zimenez, but she had not had the opportunity to consider it thoroughly. So I think that this is where you would have an intervention after. Ms. Stewart reminded the committee that there was a pending redraft of 82A4, which pertained to the issue raised by Scott Motley. She said she had already completed the redraft and would put the document for dispatch to the committee. Members, those are the minutes of the meeting held on July 10, 20. Oh, and this was 3 days after my birthday, which went unacknowledged by the Senate. The 10th. The 10th. And so is the Prime Minister and Mrs. Holness. Floyd, what date you are? That's on the cusp, man. You're oh, he's not on the cusp. You are behind. No, I'm sure. Welcome, Senator Scott Mudley. I'm sure that we were just noting that my birthday passed unrecognized by all the members of the Senate. So, and Senator Morris. But Senator Morris, your anniversary was acknowledged by us. Yes, it was. So I'm going to ask that a motion in relation to the minutes. Senator Morris, seconded by Senator Sinclair, Golden Campbell. So ordered. Matters arising, two issues immediately come to mind. They relate to Senator Golden Campbell's response and interaction with Jimenez, and also Councillor Stewart has some information for us. I'm going to ask Senator Sinclair to just take over the meeting, as Mr. Poet Laureate is actually here with a number of his family members. So I need to just do some social interaction. We want to start at 10. Did you just get a message from me about you? Okay.
Yes, so just picking up from where Chairman would have left off, and the question is to Senator Golden Campbell.
Chairman, I can report that having reviewed it and spoken with Ms. Jimenez, I too am in agreement with the committee that the provision is properly dealt with now.
All right.
So I thank you very much, and thank you to my colleagues for allowing me the time.
All right, so that clears one matter arising from the minutes. And so before, by the way, that was 82A. 82. So we can ask, yes, in respect to 82 now, members, with the days of discussion that we would have had, the redraft, which would have gone through extensively, it would appear from the comments, but I still have to put it to the members, that we are settled on the 82 as redrafted. So can I get a motion in respect to that? Not 82A, just 82. The one that deals with private bills, 82. All right, so moved by Senator Golden Campbell, seconded by Senator Rose Bennett Cooper. So 82 as redrafted, and will be the new standing order. So we get to 82A. Is it 4? Sorry, go again. 82A2. Right. Okay, yes. 82A2. And it's a 3-line provision. And just in the event that members may not have their standing order before them, 82A2 reads, the use of devices referred to in paragraph 1 of this order is not permitted for external communication with other persons during proceedings of the Senate or in committee. And there was a lot of discussion around that, and we got to the point where Ms. Stewart would have looked at the provision in more detail, where it would have originated. I think we had discussions regarding that, and is going to do a presentation on the potential possible redraft of 82A2. The memorandum that contains that has been circulated. All members have their copies. Senator Morris, you got? Yes, you got it in your, in the format that you can appreciate it. Turn on the mic, Senator. Yes, it's on, it's on.
Okay, I'm saying I can't recall seeing it. My internet was down from yesterday, so I don't know if it came in yesterday, but I haven't seen it.
All right, well, today Ms. Stewart will go through it, so we can just all listen to her presentation.
Yes.
I'm certain that we will have time by which you can have a more detailed look at it and make your comments, all right?
All right, thanks.
So Ms. Stewart will do her presentation from the memorandum that has been circulated. Go ahead, Ms. Stewart. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, committee members. All right, at our previous Standing Order Committee meeting, the request was made for a document to be submitted to the committee and to be circulated. So in regards to the amendment to Standing Order 82A2, I'll just provide the background as outlined in the memorandum. The Senate Standing Orders Committee during its meeting held on May 8 and May 22nd, 2026 respectively, thoroughly reviewed Standing Order 82A, that is, the use of technology during proceedings of the Senate or in committee. During the meeting held on May 22nd, Senator Bernard reminded the committee that at the previous meeting held on May 8, he had raised concerns regarding the prohibition of external communication stipulated in Standing Order 82A2. The standing order, I'll read, the use of devices referred to in paragraph 1 of this order is not permitted for external communication with other persons during proceedings of the Senate or in committee. Senator Bernard highlighted the difficulty in monitoring and enforcing the provision as well as the restrictive manner in which the provision is drafted. Senator Bernard therefore questioned whether a blanket prohibition on external communication was realistic or appropriate, and emphasized that he was interested in how devices could be used legitimately for real-time consultation to obtain data to improve the quality of debates in the Senate. Subsequently, Senator Bernard recommended either, 1, an amendment to the provision, as it seems unnecessary to prohibit external communication without qualifying the circumstances where it could help to enhance the quality of debates, or a complete deletion of the provision. Based on the committee's deliberation, Legislative Council recommended a redraft of the provision to include the insertion of the following words: unless required to acquire data for the purpose of debate or presentation, at the end of paragraph 82A2, on the premise that paragraph 82A6 authorized the use of audiovisual aids during presentations at the discretion of the president or chairman in committee. And you can refer to previous minutes of May 22nd, pages 3 and 4. Now, the actual redraft. The research undertaken indicated that several Commonwealth parliamentary jurisdictions permit the use of electronic devices during legislative sessions. For example, the United Kingdom, that is the House of Commons and the House of Lords. In Australia, the House of Representatives, and Canada, the House of Commons, to access reference material, data, legislative documents, and notes for debates and presentation. However, it must be noted that such authorization is not explicitly codified in standing orders, but instead is reflected in, for example, speakers' rulings or presiding officers' guidelines, with a strict caveat that the devices may be used with discretion and not impair parliamentary decorum. I must outline that the discretion, the caveat in regards to parliamentary decorum and discretion, that is actually already encapsulated in our Standing Order 82A5. Hence, the redraft would not reflect such a caveat. Based on the aforementioned, the following redraft provision is proposed for the committee's review and deliberation. Members shall be prohibited from using devices referred to in paragraph 1 for external communication during proceedings of the Senate or in committee, except when strictly required to access, acquire, or present data to support parliamentary presentations and debates. Any such use remains subject to the final approval and discretion of the President or Chairman in committee.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, as I listened to the presentation from our learned legal counsel, I'm just really now wondering about the practicality of enforcement here, because you're talking about a situation when we are in committee and a member wants to access information that is pertinent to the discussion that is taking place. Am I to understand from this draft that the member would have to seek permission from the chair or the presiding officer to access the information externally in order to make a submission? Because you would appreciate, Mr. Chair, that in a discussion that is taking place in the Parliament, it's very fluid, and you are, making your presentation and so forth, and you have to now go to the chair. What is the means of communicating? Is it that I have to get up from my seat and go to the chair and tell him that I want to access this information and you're seeking permission and to get his approval? I don't know. I am wondering about the practicality of this particular measure.
In response,
Go ahead, Mr. Go ahead.
In response, I'll just take you to Standing Order 85-2A. It states the use of laptops and other forms of technology as audiovisual aids to support parliamentary presentations may only be undertaken at the discretion of the President or Chairman in committee, and members who wish to make use of such aids must seek the prior approval of the President or Chairman in committee. So you wouldn't actually, let's say, on your feet immediately while undertaking your presentation or while during debate have to consult with the President or Chairman in committee to actually use the device. If you are aware that you're going to be actually participating in debate, let's say for today, let's say an email will be sent in advance or some form of notification, electronic notification will be sent in advance to the presiding officer in regards to the use of the device, but not on the actual while you're on your feet to seek the permission. But I do take into consideration the issue of contention in regards to monitoring and enforcing.
But, sometimes you are participating in a debate and matters are raised during the debate, and you would want to get that information to strengthen something that you want to say. And from what I am understanding here, the rules would prevent you from accessing that information without going to the President to seek permission. And that is a genuine issue, because a lot of times you are inside here and, sometimes I hear something that Senator Sinclair says that I want to verify. This would prevent me from just going and accessing that information.
So, I think, let me hear from Senator Bernard first, all right?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm trying to dissect this, because a lot of things that's happening here.
Yeah.
So let me go to the use of laptops. This is what now, 82A6, and it's used to, at some point in the conversation, trying to qualify 82A, but it's for audio-visual aids. That's a different thing, Audio-visual aids referring to like a PowerPoint, or some imagery on the screen. But
Or playing the thing over your
yeah, man,
microphone.
those kind of things,
Yes.
right. But the use of technology in enhancing the quality of the debate is used for research. You know, it's for on-time research, for example. That's one way that we use the technology on our feet. That's a different thing from 82A6. And again, what we have seen from time to time, and I have done from time to time, is we in the session and we use our device for just general communication. You know, you're a very busy lawyer, Mr. Chair, and you might just, you know, want to make a quick response to. I don't think you should prohibit something like that, in the use of the technology to communicate externally. There are, I think, a number of issues elsewhere about decorum, but we have clauses, I think, that speak to decorum. And so far, we would have been, I think, in my mind, been very cautious in terms of how we treat with decorum. But to have my issue with this is there's so many ways we would need to use the technology for research, besides audiovisual, for the general communication while we're inside the space. And it's hard to police and manage that. And I think it's for that very reason why we've seen so many things being talked about in that other place and pointing arrows and fingers at people, you know, while they're using the technology. And so it's very difficult. And I don't think look here how I read the redraft. In my mind, I'm still saying that we just really can't police that. We don't need this. And, you know, because there are different levels, and it don't go against, I think, 82A6, because that is not about the use of audiovisual, which is okay to seek permission to use a PowerPoint or some images or something else. So that's my take on it. So there are different levels to this.
All right. Senator Rose Bennett Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On this issue, just wanted to give an example, a real-time example. Even though this is referring to or focusing on external communications.
I wanted to read it, not to cut you, but read it a little beyond that. External communication with other persons.
Yes.
So just read that as one. Because 82A1 allows you to use it for taking notes, consulting reference materials, including parliamentary papers, and accessing reports and other documents tabled in the Senate, right, in electronic format. 82A is dealing with using the device for external communication with other persons.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I'm still on the same point. External communication with other persons. And I still want to give that real-time example. Just now, I was trying to locate this memo with these notes, and I couldn't. I could have communicated with someone externally and say, could you locate and send this to me? Someone associated with the parliament. I did not do that. What I did instead was to borrow my colleague's copy, used my device to take a photo image of that copy, and I am now looking at my device to read this, the amendment. So I just give that example to show that there are sometimes very simple instances where external communication with other persons would be harmless and beneficial to members.
Communication was
I
your
am not, sir.
Pardon me?
I beg your pardon?
Your communication was, in that example was where?
Was,
Because
I
your
said in this,
attempted communication
I said,
was with somebody in the parliament.
I said in this instance, I communicated with my colleague to my right.
Yes.
But it could be that I'm communicating with a staff member of parliament who is not sitting in the house. And that would, in fact, constitute external communication with another person, even though it is relevant or may be relevant to what is happening in the sitting at the time.
Senator Scott Motley.
Sir.
I think,
Senator
Chair,
Scott, sorry.
No. I
Yes, Senator Scott, I
graciously
didn't see her- I
defer
didn't see
to my
her thing.
colleague,
Senator
Senator
Scott Matley,
Ancina.
and then Senator Gold, and then Senator Gale.
and no, I think what is causing this problem is because we are not clear on what we're calling external communication. That is a mischief. The interpretation, is it as, as Senator Golden Campbell says, when I text my son, or is it getting information from other persons which might help us in our presentations? And I think that is where we need to be clear. When this standing order was placed there, what was a mischief that it was intended to deal with? That is what is causing this kind of dissonance in the committee, because everybody is bringing a subjective interpretation to the word. I think we get to that. We can determine whether it need not be there, whether it needs to be modified or what. Thanks, Chair.
I think, well, I'd raised that in the last meeting to find out what's the background to it. I don't think no one has found anything, but just trying to reason. I could only come to the view that it would be for any undue influence to be applied to anyone with that, yes. So I can't see any other real logic to it. But Senator Golden Campbell and Senator Gale.
Chairman, I hope I can pull all my thoughts together because my mind was racing a while ago. The question you just asked about the background, and the team seems to be saying that they found nothing in terms of any rationale and purpose in their research for the inclusion of this standing order. But it would be interesting to know when this standing order was inserted. That might give you, in terms of timing, some idea. And also whether or not a similar standing order in the UK Parliament, when that one was inserted as well. So, so I ask you just to look at the timing and see if you can let us know. But moving along, Mr. Chairman, I start from the place of purpose. What is the purpose of the standing order? The Senate has, by virtue of constitutional mandate, the power to regulate its procedures. And we regulate our procedures to support the purpose of Parliament, to make laws for the good order and good governance, good government of the country. Where does this standing order lie in terms of its enabling of the purpose of the Senate, or its protection of the Senate from some other purpose that would disturb the Senate? I cannot seem to answer that question for myself. At this point in time, in 2026, it really appears to have no place in the standing orders, and I will tell you why I say so. I say so because the use of a device to engage external communications with other persons, as my colleagues have cited, can very much be used in order to further the purpose of the Senate and the proceedings of the Senate. But even if it is not used for that purpose, how is the Senate expected to monitor that? And does the Senate's attempt to write a rule that is supposed to limit or restrict communication of a particular member with external persons not fall afoul of the Constitution, which protects our right to communicate? I'm concerned about that. The other thing I would say, this question of undue influence. Excuse me. We are appointed members in this chamber who have equal powers in terms of the procedures of the parliament, as our colleagues in the lower chamber do in their chamber. Influence is part of what we must consider as members of parliament. The public persons must be able to reach us, to seek to persuade us about an issue that they're concerned about. So I don't know that there is any such thing as undue influence in the debates in the Senate. We have a duty to listen. We choose to listen to who we choose to listen to. But that's part of our responsibility as members of the parliament. So with respect, I am strongly urging my colleagues to let us do away with this provision. It serves no purpose. There is no rationale for keeping it. It may in fact be in conflict with our constitutional entitlements, and it certainly serves, in my view, to hinder and restrict the proper running and processes in the Senate with respect.
Hold a second. I have Senator Gale, and we are 5 minutes past 10. President wanted to get an early start. No, Senator Morris, I'm going to facilitate, but keep your comments short, and once the comments are made, I think we will have covered all the questions, concerns, etc. we want to get out there, and we can rest it right there, think about it, and we come back to the next meeting, the research is done, and you think about it so we can come to a final position. Exclude, amend. Senator Gale, Senator Rose Cooper, and Senator Morris, your comments quickly.
Thank you very much, sir. You know, if you ask me to tie my shoelace, it means that you're preventing me from falling. And if you ask me, if you are inserting a rule, there must be a mischief that you're trying to fix. And this is one of the rules that we are yet to understand or appreciate. What has been the activity that we are trying to protect against? Because I have not seen it, but all of us can assume, based on a catch-all statement, that we don't really know where the origin lies. And what I'm afraid of also is where in the submission, where it states, however, it must be noted that such authorization is not explicitly codified in standing orders, which is a fact, but instead is reflected in speakers' rulings and presiding officers' guidelines that we are not aware of. And it means that there are rules and guidelines that presiding officers may have that we are not aware of that can be used on us on occasions to prohibit us from conducting our work. And we're operating now in a space, in an environment where technology is of practical use. And we have to use it to carry out our functions. Now, the only thing that I can think of in two is we're permitted for external communication with other persons during proceedings. Is if someone is using their mobile device to disturb the sittings of the Senate. And that is already provided for. So we are speaking of a rule that now is being far-fetchedly interpreted. And it started out with Senator Bernard, who would have thrown a blanket wave of the ocean over this. And it would have led now for us to be able to mentally interrogate and expand this rule. So we now have to decide, Chairman, whether or not there is really a motive, and that if we can fix that motive, given the various interpretations that has been presented. And that's for our consideration as a committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, on looking at this, I think in terms of the mischief that this is intended to cure or address, this is to be looked at from one of two perspectives in my humble view: an authorization or a prohibition. In the context of a prohibition, as we've said already, it's already addressed. And to the extent that we'd be looking at it as a prohibition, it would really be prohibiting use of the device in a manner that's disruptive. Full stop, and that would be it. But if this provision is amended to say that we've already done that, so that's in the context of prohibition. In the context of authorization or permission, what exactly is it that we would be permitting, and how would we be limiting it? And in today's world, what does it achieve? And to that extent, I would say that this provision is currently, in today's world, irrelevant and should be done away with.
Morris?
Yes, Chair. You know, I am concerned about the issue of enforcement, but at the same time, one of the things that I am conscious of as someone who has been in this chamber for a good while is members paying respect to each other whilst presentations are being made. And I am fearful that if we remove all the strictures here and allow individuals to use their devices in the chamber, what you're going to end up having, Mr. Chair, is members being on their devices, communicating in silence with others and not paying attention and according the respect to their colleagues in their presentation. And this, I mean, I would be on my phone while Senator Golding is speaking and not paying attention to her. But when I am speaking, I want Senator Golding to listen to me. It don't work like that. And I think that is something we need to occupy our minds with. And as I end, Mr. Chair, I must say that the other night, Senator Golding and I were on the radio talking about the standing orders. The host of the program said to me after in a conversation that they never know that we were so civil in the Parliament. Well, I said to him, the Senate is different from the other place, although we get into some problems from time to time here. But it was a really progressive discussion. And one of the things that is clear is that we need to have ongoing training in terms of the standing orders, one, and two, parliamentary debates, seminars, because, you know, a lot of people come into the parliament, if they are not lawyers, where they are trained in debating techniques, they don't understand how to participate in a debate.
All right, thank you. So, all right, we seem to have Senator Morris's position, which I do understand and appreciate. And every time he says it, because he said it the last occasion and at the last meeting, and I looked across to where Ms. Jimenez is now sitting, but having a picture of the lower house. That so, yes. So we have. So what I'm just saying is that we have the view from Senator Morris, and we have heard the other views from the other members. So we are going to rest it on this side, and you. Yes, I'm going across here, but it's just to say that you have the competing views. That's what I'm saying. Senator Morris's view is one view. Keep it. I suppose keep it with the amendment proposed, but do not remove it. Bernard, Cooper, Golding, and I'm getting the same impression from Gail, is that we can remove it. So you can go and sleep and mull over that until the next meeting, so we can come back with a decision, and we go over to Ms. Stewart and Ms. Jimenez, and then we close.
Thank you, Chair. Quickly, just to add for the purposes of the committee's deliberation, just a little research here indicates that Standing Order 82A, which officially governs the use of technology during proceedings of the Senate, was passed and implemented in July 2011. The resolution was moved by Senator Norma Grant and passed on July 15, 2011 to modernize legislative practices. Technology policy allows senators to utilize information and communication technology during upper house sittings subject to specific rules. So, right, so just to give you a little background as to when it was implemented, right?
Senator, yes, but yes, that was made. All right, so we know where we're starting from. I think that would have responded to somebody's comments. Ms. Jimenez.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Pleasant morning, members. Just, if I may, with the permission of the Chair, just share my own comments with regard to 82A2. One, especially based on our current use of technology and how important it is with communication, I find that maintaining it in 2026 might be a dead letter. It's hard to enforce, and therefore you are imposing a standing orders that you will not be able to control. The second point is that if we look in the room right now, there are at least 2 members, I'm not going to call their names, who are on their devices. So we are very likely to insert a standing order that we are prone to breach, and absent-mindedly do it too. It's not that it's an intentional breach, but absent-mindedly disregard it. So if it is that you are going to insert a standing order to ensure that we have a proper regulation of the House, let us ensure that it is practical and also that it is enforceable. With regard to the point that was made by Professor Senator Morris, I think Standing Order 82A5, as it reads now, would capture the concern that you have, in that it says that devices are not to be used in a manner which might compromise the dignity and decorum of the Senate. And I would find, too, that it is a matter of dignity and decorum for you to give your undivided attention to a member when it is that they are speaking. It affords them the respect that they are deserving of when it is that they're presenting. So even if it is that the committee decides to do away with, rather, 82A2, there is protection for the respect that is needed when it is that members are speaking. Those are my contributions. Thank you.
Time.
Okay.
We're imposing on the Senate.
Yes, all right. So thank you, members. Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Motion for adjournment. So moved,
I ask
Mr.
for
Chair.
you have something to mull over and come back at the next meeting. So I thank you all for your contributions, and I ask for a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Moved by Senator Morris, seconded by Senator Christian Tavares. Vincent is orders. Senator, Standing Order Committee is now adjourned.
No in charge, you know. No in charge. Bring your phone, come. Bring your phone, come. Morning. Yes. Come on, good.